Good morning. For Tuesday, the 6th of October, we're running our regular monthly webinar. This has become quite a standard thing for us to do. Topic of today's webinar is Flight, Canto's Flight DAM solution, SaaS-hosted solution, running in the Amazon cloud, AWS. Today we're going to go through a quick roundup of general features. I've got attendees, both existing users of Flight and also some new people coming along as well. So I'll start off with a general roundup of Flight, and then I will move out to going through the new features of the LAX version. Canto brand the different versions of their product based upon airport codes in America. So the August release, which for those people who have a Flight subscription already, will be the current version that you got as it got updated into your portal in August. You'll be running with LAX, and we'll be going through the new features of the LAX release. Hopefully we'll get through all of this content by around about 40 minutes. So around about, now the times have changed all up and down the east coast of Australia with daylight saving. So yes, it'll be about 40 minutes long. Now then, some general housekeeping. Recordings will be sent out to everybody, both anybody that registered for the webinar. Now then, as you can see, you're all viewing my main screen here. Now, if anybody is having trouble viewing my screen or wants to ask a question during the presentation, do use the GoToWebinar control panel on the left-hand side to send me a question. If you are having trouble seeing the screen or hearing, there's actually little I can do. This all runs pretty smoothly from GoToWebinar. My best advice would be to quickly log out and log back in and re-establish connection. Sometimes that can help things along. Now then, over here on my screen, you will see that we're on our YouTube channel. So if you go into YouTube and just search on DataBasics PL, you'll see a range of different recordings of webinars available. And two in particular that you should be looking at is this Flight webinar here, these two. The one on the 7th of July focused on portals, which I will show a little bit today. I'll show the end result, but this one from the 7th of July took you through the process of setting up a portal, and the portal from July the 21st showed the InDesign integration. You will also see that there's a whole range of other content available in our YouTube channel, such as last month's webinar, which was the most loved features of Web Client Pro. Now then, next month's webinar will be on November the 10th, and it'll be the top 10 mistakes implementing DAM. You might have seen this on our blog for those people who would like to come along, and I do highly recommend this for anybody doing a DAM solution, whether it's Flight, whether it's Cumulus, whether it's something else, to have a look at this webinar. It will be very generic content. We're not talking about any particular products. It's a survey of 32 different customers and what they found to be the most typical stumbling blocks in delivering a DAM solution. And after today, you should see that Linda will update the website, and down here in the bottom left-hand corner will be the link to go and register for the top 10 mistakes in implementing a DAM. Now then, that webinar will run 1 hour earlier and will match everybody's daylight saving. So in places like Sydney and Melbourne, it'll run at 11 a.m. and we will update all of the different meeting invites with the exact time that the webinars run. Now then, one last thing before we start the main content, just going to the knowledge base over here, and you can see that's this URL up here, Flight Help, article category Help Center. You can also get this from the Help button within Flight or going from Canto's website. What I put this up front here is that I generally forget. I've been putting it down the end of the list of things to mention, so I've put it right up to the front. Okay then, so I'm not going to start the main content of the webinar. We're running with about 6 people. Somebody else is just registering at the moment. I believe we'll probably get up to about 10 people in this webinar this morning. After the long weekend and all of the footy stuff that happened, I'm sure we'll have some dropouts during too much celebration. And so in the next 20 minutes, I will take you through a brisk run through the Flight solution. So Flight is a cloud-hosted solution from Canto. It is hosted in the Amazon AWS cloud. It is all about easy and simple to use. This simple and easy to use applies both to the general usage of the product. So you'll see me scroll around and using lots of things within Flight, and hopefully that will show you that it's simple and easy to use. But it's also got to do with how easy it is to purchase a solution. It's around about a day or 2 days at the most from ordering your Flight subscription to being online and ready to go. People ask me how easy it is to set it up, say how I've got this portal here. It's around about an hour, maybe 2 hours to try things out and things like that. So the simple and easy stuff in Flight, it's how the product is simple and easy to use, but it also deals with how simple and easy it is to acquire and get started with the solution. So starting off with some of the basics here. All of the content that goes up into Flight is first of all organized into what we call these smart albums, and you can see the icons for them across the top of the screen. Here I've got our images smart album pre-selected. You can see on the screen here a range of different image formats, a lot of JPEGs. You'll also see some PNGs, BMPs. I've got some Photoshop native files around. There's around about a dozen or more different file formats that Flight will accommodate, all of the standard formats that people use. Now then, with all of these different types of images, just to go through the different features, we generate from here. Hit the wrong button there somewhere. There we go. Right, we generate, there we are, back on screen. We generate the preview and the thumbnail automatically. You can just step through the different previews just by clicking the side button like this. We also have the ability to download the images. So if you hit the download button there, you can see that Flight will offer downloads in 4 different types: the original, different types of JPEGs, and PNG. So all of that is inbuilt for all of the different image types, regardless of their original format. Video, Flight is very strong with video. You see a wide different range of different video formats here. And this is a high definition video format. It's quite large in size, and I'm going to show you the ability to play that straight out of Flight. Usually this works quite well. Just going to set the sound right down there. Now, as I hit the play button, you'll start to see this video will play on screen, it should update quite easily on your screens there via GoToWebinar. Now you can see I can at any point move forward with the scroller and go to any further stage in the and I'm just getting a bit of feedback that this isn't actually updating. Look, what I will do is I'll just close that and open that again. Somebody let me know that the video is not updating automatically on the screen. It is often a problem with the GoToWebinar solution. We have this hitch with delivering the video across the webinar interface here. Let's just go for this again. Okay then. How's that? Can everybody see that okay? Yeah, I've got somebody saying yes, we can. That's great. As you can see, it's now updating on screen. Hopefully that's working for everybody there. It's a full HD video. I can go and expand that to full screen if I like. I can go and move through, and hopefully you can see that as I scrub through, all of the images on screen are updating well. This is, and hopefully I just scrub through slowly, but you should see all of these different areas. For me, I'm fully interactive with this HD video. I can scrub forward right through to the end of the video here. You know, that updates automatically as I move the cursor. I can go back, and I know with some of the other solutions around that scrubbing backwards always throws a bit of a hiccup into the solution, and I can go right through to right over here at the end. And that just shows you some of the real strong capabilities that Flight has with video solutions. So Flight, as far as a solution to stream video, wide different range of video types, and it is very effective for delivery of video content. Okay, back to the smart albums here. You can see that we've got audio files are kept here. Over here, documents, PDFs, Word files, and things like that. Presentations like PowerPoint, and over here, others ones that don't fit the main 5 different classifications of media types. So whenever you catalog something into Flight, it'll automatically be put into these smart albums, and it'll also be put up over here into your upload. So if you add anything to Flight and you then want to go and add more metadata to it, you can always find it either in the smart albums or in the uploads, depending upon how you uploaded it into Flight. Okay, now then, right. Now then, dealt with the different types of media types that you can put into Flight. Now let's look at some of the ways that you can classify or categorize content. So over here on the left-hand side, you can see my folder structure. I've got a range of different types of folder structures. My genre folder structure here. It's a very simple folder structure. It is just a flat level of different albums for all of the different genre available. I can either navigate by clicking on the left-hand side, or I can click on these thumbnails here. So if I want to go into crime, that'll show me all of the content in the crime folder. I can move back along my folder structure this way. I can go and look in, say, another one here, science fiction, using the folder on the left-hand side. You can see in any particular folder I can have or album, I can have content of different types. I've got a movie as well as some different types of images here. So this is a fairly simple structure genre. If I now go to my locations folder here, you can see that we've got a more complex structure. Straight away, you can see that I've got other folders for Australia and New Zealand within locations. I have got a single album for Singapore, and the reason why is that Singapore is a city, an island, and a country all in one go. So that just has a single album there. But if I go into my Australia folder, you can see I've got albums for all of the different regions within Australia here that we can just click on and browse through all of this different content here. Some pictures from the Great Ocean Road where I went in February, had a great time there. So you can see you can have as complex a structure. I believe from Canto you can have about 8 or 12 folders deep. It really becomes an issue of how complex you want the folder structure for your users to be, and at some time you're going to be moving outside of this area on the left hand side. So I think in general purposes, 3 or 4 folders deep will be fine for most people's usage. Okay. Right, okay, now then let's have a look at the different types of metadata that you can store in a file. So I'm going to one of my favorite images here. This is a photograph of Brisbane looking at the south side, taken from the North Bank. Now then, I'm going to work clockwise from the bottom left-hand corner around over here to the right-hand side, describing the different metadata. Just about all of this different metadata is searchable within Flight, so anything that you add here you can search and retrieve on. In the bottom left-hand corner, you've got details. Now, this is the metadata that was embedded in the asset when you uploaded it. Or more accurately, it's a subset of the metadata that you can choose which fields you want to have displayed here in the settings, and we'll get to the settings later on. If you click the More button here, you will see all of the different metadata that was embedded in the file and extracted by Flight at the time that it's uploaded. So you can see here, for example, the cannon type, manufacturer, the exposure settings, and a whole lot of different information that is basically brought over at the time of cataloging and is available for you. Now, moving up, information. This is metadata or fields that you have defined. So I've defined 4 different metadata fields in my setup. I've given an asset reference. All of this is searchable. So say if I wanted to search on 6789 here is the asset reference for this. I'll go straight to that image here. I've also got a record management ID for those people in government, for example. I've got a ranking here. This is just showing that we can have pull down type of things as well as textual input. Here I've got some related assets. So say if you've got some talent request forms that you have people fill in, you can enter them, provide an asset reference on the talent request form, and then use the asset reference of the images as related assets here and be able to search and link between those different document types. Above that, we've got the approval status. We'll be looking a little bit more on the approval later on. You can have pending. Everything that's uploaded new into Flight is put into pending automatically until you move it into approved. Then later on, you can move it into restricted, or you can put it directly from pending into restricted. I'm going to explain a little bit more about this different approval types when we get into the portal section, and we've got an expiration date here. Over the top here, we've got a description field. This is a text field. Not quite sure how big this can be. I've seen quite large descriptions entered into Flight. All of this is searchable, so you could search on Breakfast Creek, for example, and that will bring up this asset here. Moving across into the top right-hand form, we've got the different albums. The albums are the navigation elements I showed you first off on the left-hand side. You can see this is both in documentary, genre documentary, and in locations in Brisbane. If I wanted to add that to another album, I click this button here, and it shows all of the different albums. I can either scroll to them, or I could search on them. So if I want to look up corporate images, I could add this to corporate images, and now we've cross-referenced this image, image into 3 different albums. And a typical question I get asked is, are we duplicating the content around? No, we're not duplicating the content. There is only one image being stored in Flight. It's just being referenced into these 3 different locations. Underneath that, we've got keywords and tags, both searchable. Keywords are a controlled vocabulary. So this is, you set these up in the settings. They're different words here. Now we could choose something like landmark and add that. And you can see me doing a type ahead. So it's really easy to look up multiple different items there. Tags are free form. So if you wanted to enter something like cloudy as a tag, make that searchable, you type that in, and that's a free form entry there of the different content there. Okay, so that's a quick whip around the different metadata. And from here, we're going to go and have a look at the filter tag. So the filters over here, I've shown you navigation by the folder structure here and being able to go into different genres and here into our locations into Brisbane. I've shown you how you can search. So we had a look at blue, I think. So we can search on something like blue, see different images there that have got the blue word associated to them somewhere in their metadata here. Right, so blue there, so it's picking up from the keywords. It could also be from the description or some of the embedded metadata here, or for your asset fields over here that you've set up as your custom fields. But you can also navigate through your content with the filters here. So if I just click on filter button here, you'll see that a different pane shows on the left hand side showing my different filters. So if I open up maybe the keywords and the tags, you can see these are the different keywords and tags that we've got in there. So I might want to look at, say, the keyword government, and it gets me a couple of different images, and then I want to further filter my response onto the tag for bridge. Okay, and so that gets me this one image over here. Have a look at the metadata there. You can see that it's got the keyword for government, and it's also got a tag for bridge. Okay. So you can do this for anything. So say if I want to go back here, and so if I want to search on city here, go to my filters, I can also go into, say, my tags here, and I could just filter down the returns of my search for those that have also got the bridge tag in them as well there. So this is another way that you can navigate around content. Besides these ones for keywords and tags, there's a range of different ones here. I'll get into some of these later on. We can also filter based upon file size or date range when the asset was uploaded into Flight, and this makes navigation of content very effective. Okay, let's go back. Now then, you will see that I've set my interface to keep on resetting back to the folder and album structure. I'll explain that later on. It's one of the new settings in LAX, but just to let you know, this is intended. It's how I've set up the solution, and when we get to that setting, you'll see that you can choose different ways of having Flight reset its interface whenever you go back to the default display, which you get to by clicking on your logo in the top left hand corner up here. Okay, so I see a question's come in here. How do you delete an unwanted album? I'll get into that a little bit later, Jenny. You'll see that from selecting on your different albums here, you get to do a few different controls. From the bottom part of the screen here, you can also move them around to different locations. I typically, what I've been doing is I've been moving my albums into other locations, typically because you might have content cross-referenced into that album already. So that's what I've been doing with my albums that I don't want to be displayed any longer. I take them out of circulation, the main folders that are being displayed, and I put them to one side just so I can remember whatever content was classified in them. Okay. Right. Okay, and sharing. It's the next topic here, so let's go and have a look at some of these sharing capabilities here. And you can see there's a range of different icons shown under any of the thumbnails, or if you go up into preview, you also get to see these items up here. You can do things like just get a quick report on how many times this image has been viewed, downloads. We had a look at the downloads before. You can add this to your favorites, which is over here in the far right hand corner there, or you can flag this as one of your liked image. Let's have a look at the share icon here. And sharing is for sending content out typically to other people that are not in your community of users. So if you wanted to send this image as an email, we click on the email icon there, type in an email address, an expiration date, put in a message there, hit the submit button, and that email will be sent out automatically to that person. You can do other types of sharing. So if you wanted to, say, post this into Dropbox, Facebook, Box, or I'm going to do Pinterest. So I click on Pinterest, I click on the continue button there. What you'll see is it logs into Pinterest automatically. Then within Pinterest, I can choose what album I want to add this to. So I'm going to put that into my Flight shared images there. So that automatically updates into Pinterest and drops me back into Flight. Lovely. Okay. Then also you can just, by using this orange button on the far right hand side, this is just going to generate a link. Maybe I want that link to run till the end of November. Create a link and it gives me this, and I can copy it to clipboard. I can do things like put that on my website, put an email, put it out to my social media, lots of different things that you can do with these links here. Okay, now we looked at sharing for images. Now let's just have a look at sharing for videos, because there's a few extra capabilities in the sharing for videos, such as you can take it out into Vimeo or YouTube, which are video specific sharing portals. So this sharing capability will vary depending upon the different asset type, and includes the Vimeo and YouTube sharing channels as well. Okay, now then, let's go back to my image down here of Brisbane. Another sharing capability here comes with the comments area. Now, this is sharing within your community of users. So what happens here is if you put in the @ symbol and then start typing in somebody's name, see, it's picked that up, Linda's details automatically. She's a registered user of Flight. Linda's redoing the website at the moment, so I've just flicked that image to her. She'd maybe sent me an email saying, what image should I be using on the website? So this is a sharing in a way. It's really collaboration. You can see here that I've got quite a healthy correspondence happening over this image. You can see here it's very vague here, just over here in white. It shows the person that this image has been shared off to. Okay, now then, just before we jump into the LAX features, just going to touch on one other standard feature within Flight, and that is the versioning capability. So if we go over here on the far right side, we can see that this image of Brisbane has been uploaded. There's 3 versions of it. We've got the original coloured version of it here. Our current version is a black and white image that we've chosen to represent onto the version of Flight, because that's how we want users to have access to it. And I believe this second version is a different file format. It was originally put up as a JPEG. I think that's been converted into a PNG because people are always also requesting that one as a PNG. So you can see here you can have different versions. You can upload a new version at any time. You can make an existing one, like so if I wanted to make my digital original here, the current version, I just click this button here to swap that one over. All right, okay. So that's my quick round up of the basic features in Flight, or the existing features in Flight. I'm now going to jump off and show you the new features in LAX. So LAX was released in August, just 2 months ago, and you can see here on Canto's blog a whole range of new features, and this is what I'm going to go through for the remaining. I'll pretty much try to wind it up in the next 15 minutes here. Okay, and so I've got a little cheat screen over here that I'll keep on referring to here. So the first thing I'm going to show here, and it gets back to if we look at our folders on the left-hand side. Here you can see we've got content that has been brought over from Box. Okay, now Box integration was added. I think that was in the SFO release. It was in the July webinar. And what's new in LAX is that we've now got content from Google Drive. So if I quickly show you my Google Drive, so this is Google Drive, really nothing to do with Flight here. You can see within Google Drive, I've got these 5 different images here. With the integration we now have with Google Drive, these images automatically come over into Flight. So it sucks them up out of Google Drive automatically within Flight. And what you can do here is that you can then classify these images any which way. You can put them in your different albums so you can find them. So I've put these images of these manatees or dugongs in far north Queensland. I've added some keywords, I've added some tags, so they just then become a general part of my flight environment. So I can search and retrieve them in any normal way. And the reason why you might want to have this integration with Box or Google Drive is maybe you want to coordinate with somebody who works external from your organization who uploads the content via Google Drive or Box. That's just how they want to do it. We've got a customer that's got an office right across the planet, and maybe they're going to deliver their content with Google Drive. Maybe you deal with agencies, and this is how you exchange data, is with Google Drive or Box. So these two capabilities are inbuilt into Flight. Okay, now then, the next new feature with LAX is the further integration with XMP and IPTC keywords. Now then, I just need to go down here to this image over here. So just quickly looking at the metadata in this image here, and I just want you to observe that in the tags we've got these 4 items here and then these 2 in keywords. Okay, now then, what I did, just to make things come along a little bit faster rather than trying to open up into Photoshop and show you my Photoshop screen. It takes a while to flip around the different screens in the webinar setup. I took a screenshot of the keywords that were in this image before I uploaded it. Right, so this is the before one. And you can see it had these 4 sets of keywords: Great Basin, Nation Park, Nevada, and Oldest Tree. And when I then brought this image into Flight, you can see that these keywords that were embedded in the image before they were uploaded into Flight, they were automatically extracted by Flight and then became searchable. So I can search on Nevada or National Park or trees, and it will respond with this item here. Now, what I then did is that within Flight, I added blue and orange via the keyword area. Keyword tags, it doesn't really matter. They're both linked up into the IPTC XMP keywords. I just did that to make it easier for people to see. And then I downloaded the image, opened it up in Photoshop, took a screenshot, and you can see now that the blue and the orange keyword has been embedded in it. So just to go through that again, originally when I uploaded this image into Flight, this bunch of tags or keywords were automatically sucked up from the file, from the embedded metadata, and made available within Flight. And then within Flight, I added more keywords tags, and these were then written back into the asset when people downloaded from them. And that just shows full integration with the IPTC XMP metadata. Okay, the iPad app. Now then, again, just for expediency, I'm not going to swap over to my iPad and show this running. I did a screenshot from my iPad, and you can see now on the iPad app, because this is a particular app, you can also use your general browser like Safari to access Flight, but this is referring to the specific iPad app. You can just download it from the App Store and just log into your normal Flight portal. You can see up here that there's an extra icon up in the top left-hand corner here, and this allows you to control downloads. So once you've clicked on that icon on your iPad app, that is then downloaded into the iPad itself, and that means that, say, if you want to go off and meet with the customer and show them some images or collaborate and do some things on the weekend, you can first download them in the iPad app. Whether you've got good internet access then, or it doesn't really matter, because they're already running in your iPad, and you're really able to be disconnected from the internet. So that's really good. It allows you to take your iPad and your data with you and not worry about your internet connection there. Okay, next one. Okay, duplicate handling. Next point. Now then, I'm going to just go up here, click the up button. There's a range of different ways that you can upload into Flight. Upload files here or down in the bottom right here. You can just, I just tell people to drag and drop them straight onto the Flight window here. When I'm running a webinar, it's easy if I click the upload button here. I'm just going to select a couple of extra files to upload, and you'll see because I've uploaded these files already into Flight, it automatically pops this dialog box here. It says this is a new one, that's the existing. Well, they are duplicates, so no, I won't import there. We can do this for all of the import in one go here. So I'll just skip over that, go to the next item here. Again, it's a duplicate, so I'll choose don't import. Again, I'll go over in the settings to the settings area and just show you how you can set up some controls there. And that's a very powerful feature. What they're doing is they're actually looking inside the content itself and checking based upon the image content or the video content whether that is duplicated with another image already in the solution. Okay, now then, what I'm going to jump into is cold storage. So this is a great new feature of Flight, and it gives you an answer why these thumbnails up here all have this little snowflake icon on them. And what this is they are now in cold storage. So if I just go and select some other items there, so I've just selected those 3 items, you can see from the bottom right here, from the action menu item here, that I could choose to move these into cold storage. I might as well do that now. So okay, and so what it tells you about cold storage is that the image will still be fully search and retrievable. It'll be in a much lower cost storage solution, which is also responds slower. I'll just click on the proceed button there, and you can see those 3 images are now put into cold storage. Now, what happens when an image is in cold storage and is that rather than getting a download or a share icon, if I just go into this one here, oops. If I just go into it, see, no download, no share, what we have over here is a request button here. So it picks up my email address from my user profile. If I click the OK, send me a link, Flight goes back into that slower cold storage, gets me a link to that asset and sends it to me. With these images, which are a few megabytes in size, it would really do it in a few minutes. It's not slow at all. If you had like it's a 100 gigabyte video file or something like that, I'm told it will take longer, and you will get an email sent to you from Flight with a link to download that item. You can also go in here and you can select, so if I go and select my 3 images there, you can also restore these items from cold storage back into your mainline storage, and that will happen automatically now and be updated. And just to let you know, I did get the pricing for cold storage. It comes in as under $1,000 a terabyte, so it is significantly cheaper storage to have, and now that's fully integrated within Flight. So you can have some of your content in cold storage. You can see over here in the filters, we can see what's in cold storage. We can see over here what's in hot storage as well. That's the general storage that we've got. And that is indicative of all of the different content as well. Okay then. Now then, I'm going to get into a few of the last features, and particularly I'm going to talk about the portals. So a quick introduction with portals. Portals is an add-on to Flight. It comes into all of the standard business packages. Most people getting Flight get the business package because it's much more cost effective and includes portals. One of the most obvious things about portals is that, so what we've been looking at so far on screen is my main portal for creating and managing all of the content within Flight, which for myself, my team here at DataBasics, this would be perfect. Now, so say if the scenario is that we want to share out a subset of this content out to somebody that we deal with, so say it's a client, a customer. So I'm just going to go to portal here. I'm going to select one of these portals here, my client portal. Click the submit button, open up a new tab, and we'll see the portal for that particular company. Now, obviously, we've got new branding up here, so each one of the different portals can be branded differently. We've got a different set of features here, so we can't do all of the different capabilities that you could do in the standard interface. We've got a subset of content, so we're only seeing one folder out of my main library and the 2 albums that are within there. And in particular, I'd like you to see that we've got what we've got here, around about just shy of 10 assets altogether showing. Now then, the point with a portal is that it will only show content that has been approved. So if we just jump back into my main portal, notice the branding changes, and we go and have a look into my client over here, and we see that in our corporate images, we've got, there's about 8 images there. And over here in lifestyle images, we've got around about 7 images. So obviously not all of them are showing at the present time. So just to show how this works, so say if I go into the metadata for this image and looked at the approval data. So this has been approved and it's got an expiry date at the end of December. Now, if I just flick this back and I just make that the end of September, you'll see that it automatically moves the status over to expired. So an expired status is based upon the expiration date has expired. Okay, now if we go and jump back into the portal, you can see that image there. But if I update, might have to update a couple of times. Here we go, up straight there. Okay, so that image is now no longer available in the portal. So we've automatically put in an asset life cycle there that, as I explained before, when images are first uploaded, just getting back to this image here, when they're first uploaded, they automatically go into a pending status. You can then approve them, and if they're approved, they will appear in a portal until the expiry date is achieved. So say if I just go through to the, right, it's pending, that's why. So if we go into approved and then go to the expiry date and move the expiry date back to the end of December. So it's now approved again. Jump back into my portal here, update that. Might take a few goes to update it. Oh, here it is straight away. So only content that is approved shows within portals. Okay then, now then, what I'm going to do now, just as a quick roundup, finish it up this morning's webinar, I'm going to jump into settings, touch on some of the final new features in the LAX release of Flight, and show you some of the controls that control some of the new items that we've been showing. So the first one that's on the list over here is a more granular user privileges. So this shows over here from users and groups user permissions. We've basically added more checkboxes for you to have a more finer, more granular control over what your users of Flight can do, both the crew and the passengers. Of course, a pilot has full access. You can't dumb down a pilot's access. That's not the point. They're the administrator of the system. This applies to crew and passengers. Over here within portals, this is where we set up the portal, set up the branding, set up the different restricted content. I'm not going to go into that today. Refer back to that July 7th webinar where I went through this in detail, or let me know and I'll give you a quick personal webinar on this topic. Over here in configurations, interface options, this is where you get to display that folder and album automatically. We also get to choose what view of Flight we want, whether we want the thumbnail or the list view, whether we want videos or audios to automatically show. Some people are using Flight just for video content management, so they might want to go to videos automatically here. Over here in reports, new feature is that all of the different reports are available as a CSV file. So we can go down here and we can get our report as a CSV file. The sharing history now, if we go back to the oops, right, is now showing the exact, oops, right, now we've now got a finer control over the sharing history and the download history, taking us straight back to the individual minute. I will get that if I export this as a CSV file here. I was just looking and I can't actually show that here on this screen, but if you jump into your flight portal, choose that top downloads and shared files, export as a CSV, it shows you all of that content right down to the individual minute there. Okay, now then, is there anything that I've missed? Okay, no, I think there's a little bit about there is the new API. If we just have a look at the LAX features, the API, one of my engineers has been looking at the API, and we're looking at doing customization for one of our customers on how Flight works. This is something I don't particularly understand. You have to have a programmer, but the new API is in there. And other than that, I think we've gone through all of the different content. So thank you very much for your attendance today. I can see we haven't had a lot of questions today. That's all right. There is quite a bit of content packed into this webinar today. It will go out as a recording to all of those people that registered and also available via our YouTube channel. A quick reminder that on November the 10th, we'll be running the top 10 mistakes implementing a DAM solution, and that will run 1 hour earlier than today's webinar. So thank you all for attending, and I look forward to seeing you again soon. Thank you. Bye.